You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode. Exciting news. This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, who have been telling Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com, and then definitely follow them on Instagram for all the information that you need, because I'm sure that's where you follow us as well, at oklahomahof. Let's get into today's episode. College friend on the podcast today, Mr. Nick Chafey. We've been friends for it's been a long time since you graduated.
Too long.
I hate thinking about that, right?
Forever.
It's been a long time. Both went to SNU. Big fans of football, soccer, I guess, how you guys would call it, but former SNU athletes. Now you're in teaching, right?
Teaching, athletic training.
It's
It's a mix: healthcare, education. But basically, just working, with kids and and athletes all together. It's kind of something I'm passionate about.
That's a good thing to be like. You've grown up playing all these sports, and now you have a job doing kind of what teaching with kids. So it's fun, a lot of fun. But like I said, we met at SNU, had a lot of fun in school. I guess Jackson was your roommate, right?
Jackson was my roommate for a year, and then Trey Styles the other three.
Yeah. So a lot of mutual friends growing up with. I guess you grew up within the Bethany area around that, and played soccer at SNU.
Yes, sir.
How was that?
It was a big change, man. Like, you grew up in America playing soccer with a bunch of American kids playing club, and then you get to the college level, and then throw in the factor of all these former professionals and foreign athletes, and it's like it's not even the same game.
Yeah, it's a different intensity, I guess would be the right word for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And some people, either you hate it because you're not getting any playing time, or you adapt and you love it.
Yeah, and you adapted and loved it.
Oh yeah.
And then I guess did 4 years, right?
Did 4 years. Didn't redshirt, but after I played soccer, I had to change my major, and because all I wanted to do was play soccer.
Yeah.
And and then had to start thinking about a career, and ended up going into healthcare, sports medicine, and and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and after that, and changing a major and not being eligible to play sports, we dominated some intramural indoor, didn't we? That was a lot of fun. Some heated moments with those people listening who know us will know my college roommate Raymond. Very intense person on the indoor football court, I guess would be the right way to put it. We had some great games.
Underrated player too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. For a guy his size, so he came over and played American football for SNU, and then you get him on the on the indoor kind of five-a-side court, and for a guy that size, had some feet. Surprisingly, how good.
Like, I would recruit him to come play with our indoor team.
Yeah.
And this dude was like, got the ball at half court with like this crazy intense touch.
Yeah.
And he just laced it top corner, 30 yards out indoor. Like, you don't do that
No,
indoor
you don't
because
do
the
that.
goal's so small.
Yeah. We had a good time for sure. No, but obviously the reason for today, we've been friends for a while now, and this is something obviously I've been aware of, and people that know you have been very, very aware of. But a special time this year with the 25-year anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing, something that's very, very close to your heart. We have a personal ties to everything that went on. When you reached out and said, I'd love to share my testimony to the listeners, man, it's an honor to have you, do that on the podcast. So what exactly, I guess, would you, take me back to that moment? Like, what do you remember about 95 and that whole, day?
95, I was born in 91, so I'm 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And it may be the worst things because I don't have any recollection of that day, of that type of trauma. No memories of my mom whatsoever. And it's just all kind of been a learned experience.
Yeah.
Over the years, and maybe that's a blessing. that you don't have that emotional attachment in that type of trauma. But in a way, it's damaging. My whole experience and my whole relationship with that tragedy downtown is completely different than say my dad's or my older sister. That had, that experienced that, remembered that, knew what my mom was like, knew the character of my mom. Those are things that, I learned through stories and, other people's memories. So that's been what's difficult with it growing up as a kid, and even as an adult today, I still learn new things. And, that's, I don't know if I'm going to get emotional about it, but it's just it's a very surreal feeling. It kind of feels like limbo.
Yeah, because I guess your dad and your sister. How much older is your sister?
So sister's 10 years older than me.
Okay, so she was very aware of what's happening.
Oh yeah.
So your dad and your sister have these real clear memories
Absolutely.
of your mother, and they tell stories and they laugh and they they joke about what your mum did, what she was like, And then I guess it's tough because you can't really attach to that.
No, you can't. You can't. You don't feel like you identify with that.
Yeah.
And it makes, of course, they're your dad and your sister, but they're your family.
Yeah.
And you're missing out on, a family experience. And that's what's been tough as a high school or, just an adolescent kid is you're like, what was that like? And then that affects your relationship with them because it's like they have that, I want that, but you'll never get it.
Right. And then, like I said, growing up with kids that you're the same age as you who kind of, like I said, they don't remember that day either.
Absolutely.
But you see everyone else that's older than you, and everyone older than you who was around your family knows. So they always have that memory. They, even if they have one memory of, everything that happened or your mother or whatever it is, like that must be so hard.
Yeah, and it's like, they have that one memory and I don't.
Yeah.
And, they're not even family.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know if I'm bitter about it. I love hearing stories about my mom, and I'm sure any kid that has a similar experience to me does, but I don't know. Yeah.
So, and being 25 years, the anniversary, and you have a jersey here, which is everyone got jerseys for it, which is really cool. With kind of like last name and the number 25 and the home jersey that we have now for that moment. I was down the Thunder recently, and there's they have a display there. They have the wall with everybody's name on it. It is nice to see the community around it, right? And I'm sure, like, over the last 25 years, as you've got older, you've been more involved with the community and everything that remembering that day or whatever it is, the events that go around it. No, I saw you at the Memorial Marathon last year, right?
Absolutely.
You were, you and Abby ran that, and it's just such a great day to remember those people.
And you've ran in that thing, and ran in a few half marathons. Just my sister lives in Miami, Florida. Ran half marathon down there. Just being in sports medicine, you kind of work marathons too, and the Oklahoma City Marathon is by far the best. Yeah. The enthusiasm, the community support, all the medical providers down there, they do all that for free. They don't get paid to do that. There's no contract with a hospital to provide services for that marathon, and that is all healthcare people volunteering their time, knowing the commitment and what that means to the community. Yeah,
it's amazing, and I've ran the last two. I think I'm going to run the full this year, and Taryn ran her first half in Fort Worth, and then came up to Oklahoma City and ran her first half last year, and I knew I'd ran the previous year, so I knew what it was like, and it was cool to watch her and her experience going from something she had never experienced it yet, but she'd kind of experienced another race before, and then realizing her reaction and seeing that it's so different. And like you said, they just volunteer to be there, right? Everyone that's there is a volunteer,
right?
So it is really cool to see that. And I've sat down with Carrie Watkins and had her on the podcast, and just kind of she was the first employee there, right, at the memorial. And just to see her passion for it and the stuff that she does every year, you know, just for the remembrance of, you know, your mum and all the others, like it's hard not to kind of feel great about what the city has come together to do.
It's been unbelievable to see the growth of the city around it. So many city leaders just take so much pride in it, and it's just, you know, it's just calming to, you know, you see it still being, you know, honored and immortalized in a way, because the people that make the decisions know that a lot of the city wouldn't be where it's at today if that tragedy would have never happened. And of course you never want those things to happen, you know, for the better of a city or a community, but you know, that's life. And to see the way that Oklahoma City and the people of it have responded, you know, it's a place that, you know, I feel comfortable calling home. Yeah,
I agree. Same with that. It's you know, and even if it's not on that day, right, there's always, you could walk through the memorial on any day and you get, you know, that feeling that like, this is not, it's not like a tragedy that's just happened, people have had a social media day for it and then they've forgotten about it. You know, like everyone's already forgotten about what happened in Australia, like recently with the fires and all that kind of stuff. Like it has its moment and people are going to struggle to deal with that. But like, it's kind of like, if you ask somebody now, they'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Same with like what happened in California, the California fires. And, you know, like all these tragedies, when they happen, they have their moment, people acknowledge it, but then they kind of, that's it, right? With this, you know, Oklahoma City has just harnessed it and used it as a strength to grow and build the city. And I can't, you know, the difference, I'm sure, with the city 25 years ago to what it is now is incredible, especially with the people, too.
Yeah. You know, and I think that MAPS project is, you know, it's a trying to think of the word, but it was, I mean, that bombing was influential for the MAPS project. And you've seen what the MAPS project's done in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you get invited to things a lot?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a good relationship with my mom's department. She worked DEA, you know, DEA, Drug Enforcement. She was a dispatcher, and she was on loan from the Cleveland County Sheriff's Department when she was killed. But, you know, they are very adamant about, you know, the employees that they lost and the way they honor them. And still to this day, you know, my relationship with that department is very strong. I get invited to lunches with them. Obviously, anything related to the memorial, I get invited to. Some of my old professors with the sports medicine are very involved with the marathon and kind of the health services down there, so they're always very adamant about, you know, making sure I feel if I want to be involved with any of the planning or just being down there on the day of. I mean, and it's important to me because, like, I don't have those memories of my mom, and we were talking about my family's relationships, but it's these things, these involvements with the memorial or any decision making that's my relationship with my mom. Yeah. In a way.
Yeah. Does family go as well with you?
So, you know, my sister is very involved, but she lives in Miami, Florida. But again, it all has to do with the relationship with the memorial, and it's a lot easier for me to go versus my family.
Yeah.
And I would say that rings true for anybody that experienced that day, that was affected by that day, that had any loss with that day, because their relationship with that, we would say, very beautiful memorial, very, you know, just the gorgeous memorial.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's a peaceful place. It feels very serene. But that's not their relationship with the memorial.
Yeah.
They don't see that place as a gorgeous remembrance. I mean, of course, they they love that that's there.
But it takes them back to that day.
Yeah, it takes them back to that day, to the, the loss, to the violence, to the chaos. And I sense that. I think just knowing that's kind of my family's relationship with it is they don't remember it as that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's taught me how to be very empathetic with people, and it's a great lesson. But but yeah.
Yeah. What do you have, I guess, a memory of the first time you went down there that you clearly remember going down there? For like one of the remembrance days or the day of?
I feel, I think it may have been after, the memorial was built. Maybe I was 8. Could have been 8. Well, I don't know. Maybe not 8. I was a young kid.
Yeah.
But it's the memories I have going to the the very first remembrance ceremonies was always bringing yellow roses, because those are my mom's favorite.
Yeah.
And that always was something I did. Yellow roses.
Seeing your mum's chair and sitting down and
and it's not that I don't value my mom's grave. She's buried Rose Hill, which is right kind of where Class and Curve is. I go out there too, but it's like her chair's it's kind of like that's where I see her grave as. I mean, that's where ultimately she perished, was in the rubble. But yeah, that's where if I'm going to go lay anything, it's going to be at her chair.
Yeah. And it's, when I've been down there, and I obviously don't have any real, nowhere near the connection that you have and your family has, but coming from the state, coming from Wales and coming over here and taking my family down there and just go, you walk through and you see these chairs and you see the names and you see the little chairs and, and then you walk through and I think the Thunder have done a great thing this year by it's free to go through for this entire year. Yeah. You get a sense of that day, but there's nothing compared to what yourself and other families have gone through. And like you said, the feelings that your dad might have, your sister has, someone that's older, takes them really back to what that day was actually like, and they can really remember it. It's tough walking through for me, and I don't have really any connection to it. I can't imagine how tough it is for, yourself and your dad and stuff like that. Like it's.
Yeah, I never understood that as a kid.
Yeah.
I always would want, them to go down there with me as a kid, and you look back at it now, it's like, was that damaging, Kind of feel bad about it.
Yeah. What did they say when you would ask?
Honestly, I don't remember, and I definitely understood as I got older when I could go, myself, and especially my dad would want to stay home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
What was it like? What's kind of like mum's side of the family, grandparents, stuff like that? So,
I would say they're similar to my dad's side.
Yeah.
It's not a place of peace, that's not a place of... I mean, of course it's important, but that's chaos, man.
Yeah.
That's, my family has PTSD. Maybe it's never been diagnosed, but it's there. It's there.
Yeah.
I don't doubt they don't have nightmares and dreams. And
did you guys live kind of in Bethany at that time?
Yeah. It's weird. I've always lived in Bethany.
Yeah.
I went to Bethany High School. I could say I'm not a transfer. A lot of those kids that go there are transfers. So I'm like, I'm a legit
born and raised
Bethany
down
High
the
School.
street. Yeah.
But yeah, we've always lived in that little area. Like the whole family lives in that area. My nan lives right around the block on my mom's side. My dad's parents. lived right off Asbury.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know, my sister got married young, about 19. It would have been probably about 5 or 6 years after, maybe 7 or 8 after the bombing. But her husband had family, and you know, that's, like I said, it's chaos, man.
Yeah.
And it was a chance to kind of get away. And
did they get married here or in Miami?
they got married here.
Yeah, that's nice.
I know that's a big reason. But, you know, they moved. Her husband's a pastor, and his brother had a church that he pastored, and they kind of went down there and did that. But
yeah.
I'm sure there's other reasons, but I knew that was a factor. Was
right.
kind of the getaway, and I think that's probably been a lot of people's experience. Experience was kind of find a way to kind of retreat from it and kind of heal in their own way.
Not have to see it every day or see something, get reminded of it every day.
Yeah.
Because that's what, I'm sure you see things every day that takes you somewhere related to it.
Absolutely, every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
And next thing you've, you know, found a way to deal with that. A lot of people don't. A lot of people, they really struggle with it.
And I've seen those people, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But, you know, we all respond to trauma in some kind of way, and you know, some people would say that's maybe the right way to do it or the wrong way, but ultimately you got to deal with it, man.
Yeah, you got
to heal from it, and if one way's going to be the way you're going to do it, I'll power to you. I love you.
Do you think, like, you used that feeling to motivate you to get into competitive sports?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like in my life, sport's always been there. This event, because I mean, it's not like your typical death. I mean,
right? Yeah, you're right.
You gotta. In a way, it's a glorified death. Every year, you gotta relive this event, even if it's 25 years later. You've had 25 years to heal from it.
Yeah. Not
really, because you gotta experience it again in the next year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any emotional attachment, but once the month of April gets here, I'm a different person.
Yeah. And I'm sure you see that in your dad and sister as well, and everyone else.
I'm a different person. I'm quiet.
Yeah.
It feels like a month of silence to me. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's just because I'm in my head the whole time.
I guess just building up to that day where you have to be down there, physically down there, going through that moment.
I mean, I don't find it hard. It's just such a weird time.
Yeah. Around that time, do people act weird? Not, I say weird, that's the wrong word. Do people act differently around you because they know?
No. You know, I feel, you know, once the day of the bombing, you know, and they're reminded that this happened.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on the relationship, you know, and I don't know. Maybe they do. I never know. They never tell me.
Yeah. Have you had that kind of, I guess, sit down, I guess every year, I'm sure, you know, memories come up and you have that moment with family and you talk and you share all the good things and you bring out old photos or whatever it is. How is that kind of the same every year, or have you had like a sit down moment with dad and your sister? And
you know, no, we haven't.
You haven't like dealt with it together. Is that because you think they just want to deal with it the way they want to deal with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I would say that's kind of the personality of my family. You know, we deal with things on our own, which is healthy and not healthy as well.
Right.
But you know, there's obviously the location factor with my sister, which is probably the next most involved person, you know, with any type of physical presence, being, you know, at the memorial with me. But I mean, my aunt's just as involved, and my nan, you know. There's no blame in my family for the way
everyone just deals with it differently. Yeah.
And just pictures and family moments just isn't one of the ways that, you know, we've got over it. Oh, not even to say get over it. It's just the way we've dealt with it.
Yeah. And I guess back to kind of, using that to go, sports always been in your life, and kind of using that and harnessing that energy and putting it towards good and using that to honor your mum, right? Like whatever you do, putting 110% in. Because anybody that knows you and ever saw you on the field knows that there was no half measures, right? There's no
half measures.
There's nothing. If you're into this, you're into it, you're in a 50-50, you're in.
Right.
There's no 50-50 tackle that you were like shying away from. And
That's
I'm
why
sure
I got
people,
the nickname Bone Crusher.
Yeah, I'm sure people listening will have a little chuckle at that because they know exactly, they could picture a moment of you flying across the field.
The funniest thing though, I've never been sent off. I've never had a red card ever. It's my greatest thing I take pride in. Like everyone's like, dude, you must have been like this dirty player and going in and crushing people, just being reckless. I'm like, no, I've never been red carded.
Yeah,
never been sent
committed
off.
Is the word for it, isn't it? Yeah. And it's, when you speak to, you hear athletes interviews, or you speak to athletes, and especially like, ones who are super competitive or have been successful, they've all kind of gone through some adversity.
Yeah.
Or either gone through it or currently dealing with something that's difficult. But like from adversity, becomes strength, and you grow. And there's no doubt that you've grown a lot more than someone who hasn't gone through something like that.
And the most growth for me is post college. I look back, so much that I wasted in college. I was fortunate, to have school paid for and got to walk on and do what I wanted to do just as a walk on. But where I'm at now, and like my experience with like healthcare and just like being with kids, and it's just like, man, like would have loved to have been a doctor, or been a PA. I love what I do as an athletic trainer, but I feel like I can do more.
And there's still time.
There's still time.
Yeah.
Obviously more time. And, you learn that lesson now.
Yeah.
Hopefully no trauma or tragedy is going to happen to me soon, but I got a whole lifetime to not correct it, because I've learned so much and been through so much as a kid.
Yeah.
Or even as a young adult. I mean, this is my first year of marriage, and it's been the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Just to be, I never had a female presence.
Yeah, and to have someone that you can speak to and be vulnerable to and just have that conversation with.
It's been a huge learning process for me. Holy crap, man. I'm like, I got to explain myself, my feelings.
Yeah.
How do I do this?
I guess, do you remember, like, because I'm sure Abby, like, there must have been a time where Abby's, like, brought it up and wanted to talk about it. But at the same time, like, I'm sure there were times where she's like, I wanted to, but I couldn't, and I didn't. And then you finally kind of, relationship grows, and you get stronger, and then you have that conversation and you speak openly about it, which I'm sure is both mutually beneficial.
Yeah, and it's just been weird the way that she's been able to do that. Has just been perfect. She's been times when I've needed distance, she's given me that, because I need to do that to recollect my thoughts, because that's the type of person I am. I can't just speak what I feel. I have to think about what am I experiencing before I talk about it.
Yeah.
Not the most spontaneous personality. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah. Well, like when you have to speak about, you have to confront or speak about something that's painful, right? It's not fun to talk about this. Yeah. But then deep down that the person that you're speaking to it, talking to Abby about it, she has your best interest.
Right.
And that, like, deep down that this is a good thing to get whatever it is off your chest and talk about it. And because I think that's what your mum would have wanted you to do, would have wanted you to talk about it and wanted you to, be who you are, to represent her, right? And that's, I guess, what you have to remind yourself. Yeah, you have to remind yourself of that every day. Because there's the other side of it where you just you could shut down, or, you just don't want to speak to anybody. I'm sure you've had those moments too, like everyone has.
Yeah, and like, this is like one of my wife's sayings, and it just now hit home. But she's real like adamant about 2 words, and it's speak life.
Yeah.
And you kind of just hit it right on the head. You said it earlier, and I'm just like, wow, there's my wife. But
yeah,
it's so true.
It's amazing how you find someone that comes together. Like you and Abby get together, but it's amazing how like these people come into our lives and at the right time,
Yeah.
like right moment of life, right time.
I would
they're
have never
perfect.
seen myself getting married.
I know I was shocked. I'll be honest. I think we all were. But like I said, deep down, right? You're like, well, I don't have to worry about, this is not like out of the blue. This is like the right time.
Yeah.
And Abby showed up for you at the right time.
Absolutely.
And you showed up for her at the right time. It's a two-way street.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's life's amazing. I know that. Right?
It's preposterous. Whatever that means. It sounded good.
When you think about it, it's like, whoa, this stuff actually happens. Timing. It's I guess when you take time to sit down and reflect things, it makes you realize how special, just stuff that we take for granted is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And especially, like I said, for you, around April, around leading up to it, around family, and even if it's not April, and you're driving past the memorial, or you see a Thunder game, and everyone's on the court with their shirts, like there's always a moment that's going to remind you. But those 2 words, speak life. You're right. That's
so simple, but so deep. It's so meaningful. It's like my whole relationship with like purpose and being driven. It's just like, at first it's like, I want to live a life for my mom, but it's changed, as you get older. It's like, you want to be a representative for your mom. You want to be a representative of the people she worked with, representative of all the people that died and perished in the bombing, people involved with it. And maybe that's not for everybody, but it's like,
right.
It's the ultimate sacrifice. Because I've been given so much because of it. And that's been another challenging thing in my life is, I'm getting school paid for because of it. It's great. But, I mean, the reason why is because, those people were killed.
Yeah. Do you kind of feel like people, obviously people, they do that out of a good thing, right? That there's a reason that they're doing that. But at the same time, could it be overwhelming at times?
I mean, I remember when I was in college and got done playing soccer and it hit me like,
yeah,
man, what have I wasted? It's just, sure, you wasted time, but you were given this because of this, and all you wanted to do was play a game. And I think it was a defining moment in my life to be more purposeful and just be aware to that.
Yeah.
And it's definitely changed me.
Yeah. And I know you said, the physician's route would be, great route to take. And like I said, there's still time to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've thought about it a lot and have put the feelers out there to figure out what it is that you've got to do, how long you're going to do it for, how things are going to take care of themselves. I'm sure Abby's behind you, regardless of what it's going to take. And, for you, it's just timing thing, isn't it? It's like, right, when am I going to do this?
Just finding that time when it's just, when's it going to be your calling?
Yeah.
That time's going to come.
How do you find it, like, as, like, around, like, the kids and teaching and all that kind of stuff? Like, how do you harness that and use it for good for them?
I've always felt, doing your job's always important. You want to be an educator and kids and impact kids, but in a way, it's how you do it.
Yeah.
How you show up. How's your relationship? Everyone talks about relationships, no matter what realm of work you do, you're going to impact somebody with a relationship. Not necessarily how good of an educator I am.
Yeah.
Sure, I might have the most evidence-based instruction method for a kid that retains something, which I never do. That's not my that's not my education. I'm not a career teacher. That's not my background, sports medicine. But harness that power of building a meaningful relationship with those kids. Sure, people always talk about being the role model for the kid, but just get a relationship with them first. That's what they want.
Yeah. And
eventually, if that's what you want to be as a role model, those kids will grow onto that. But not even just with the kids, but we work with like so many people that are hurt and go through life. Everybody's traumas, they experience it the same themselves. It doesn't matter the type of trauma.
Yeah.
A person feels hurt, they're going to feel hurt either if it's going through a relationship, a divorce, or a death. They're still hurt the same individually. So I think the bombings just made me a very empathetic person, and I'm thankful for the lessons it's taught me up to this point, and just being able to have relationships with kids that hurt, administrators that are struggling with their job or wanting to transition to another position, or career educators that love what they do versus the educator that's struggling with education in Oklahoma, because we all know it's not perfect,
right?
But we show up and go to work.
Yeah.
Why not be happy doing it?
Yeah, because you more than anyone know that anything can happen. Tomorrow's not guaranteed.
No, not at all.
And it's just trying to get that across to getting it across to kids is probably harder than anyone else, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not easy, and sometimes frustrating, because some of them have no idea what you've dealt with, what your family's dealt with, what you've had to go through. If they did, they'd understand.
Yeah, and the kids, we all value kids.
Yeah.
The daycare center and the bombing. The small chairs in the field.
Yeah.
It just strikes emotions, and I show up to work, and there'll be days when I think about those kids in the daycare, and here I am with kids.
Yeah.
And it's just, sure, I've never dreamt of myself having a career in education with kids, but I look back on like my resume of jobs, and it starts in college when I was a school bus driver.
Yeah.
I've been around these kids since I've been in school. In a way, I find something with that important.
Yeah.
And I can do that. I can work with kids.
Yeah. That's something that, like I said, you only realize when you reflect. You don't really realize it in the moment or growing up, and then you look back like, whoa, like I actually have had this kind of impact on kids my entire life without realizing it, without kind of intentionally doing it. You've always kind of been there, had some form of support for the kids, control over, where they're going, what they're doing. And then, seen as, somebody that they look up to, regardless if you're a bus driver or a teacher.
Yeah.
Like, everyone kind of looks up to an older person, whatever stage of their life is, right? But what I guess this year with the 25 years, it's like any other year for you, right? It's not like I know it's a big deal.
There's always a build up for those 20 year, 25 year, 15 year, but it's this year, and it's a big deal every year, especially for a family member. But it's going to be a beautiful service, and we're going to represent those people the best we can, because that's what we've done.
Yeah,
that's what we'll continue to do.
I think they did a great job last year of having, this was the first year they had like people's faces on the route, wasn't it? And you climb that hill and you make that turn and you see faces and you're like, it hits you straight away. And just walking or running or whatever it is that you're doing down that street and seeing those faces towards the end. I mean, it was very definitely like powerful to see how people would honor anybody that they knew that had their picture up. There was people stopping to take a picture in front of someone that they knew, or there was people who were really like pushing to beat their time, being competitive, that like kicked in another gear because of that. It's interesting how people deal with it. They see that and they react differently. But
you look up and in the past you've always seen a name.
Yeah.
But now you see a face.
Mm-hmm.
You see a person.
Yeah.
And that's just one of our senses is sight, and you see a person versus a name, and we're like, it kicks in the emotions. You get to see that person. If you're a family member, it brings back memories.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
New course,
new finishing line, which is going to be different again this year. Obviously, you're going to finish in the park this year. It's going to be amazing.
Awesome.
I mean, it was amazing last year, and the Myriad Gardens were just kind of used as like a placeholder because of the route change, because of the streetcar, and now, which was was awesome, and now it's going to be even better because you're finishing and you're going to hang out in the park. The park's finished. Another thing, because of maps that we have,
right?
Relates it all the way back. Because of maps. Is it maps 4 we're up to now?
I think. I hope it goes to maps 1 million.
Yeah, and back to soccer, we're going to hopefully get a new energy stadium out of it. I think they have I think it's a total of 130 acres I think they have. Because they go south of the river too. There's acreage south of the river.
That's where the stadium's going.
Maybe I think there's 70 acres south of the river, because that's finally they can use the Scissortail Bridge to connect both.
Yeah.
They have land south, and it all ties into where Weston is and Wheeler Park, stuff like that. I mean, it's definitely going to elevate the event. It's already one of the best events of the year and best marathons in the nation, if not the world.
Yeah.
And it's already, with that, because finishing down Automobile Alley was great, but it's a street. It's small, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now you're finishing in a wide open park in the heart of downtown.
Right under the Devon building.
Yeah.
You got the Thunder Arena there and the brand new convention center that's went down to that park the other day and was like, man, that thing's massive.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. The opening concert they had 28,000 people, and that was through the gate, not including volunteers and staff. It's
I hope it brings more big names. I mean,
yeah, I think so. Definitely.
What a fun place to have an outdoor concert.
Yeah, festival or anything. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a special moment finishing in the park.
Yeah. You've been down to that park? Been the playground and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
My nieces were in town. We took them to that little park, and they got that awesome slide. You've gone down that spiral
I haven't gone down the slide now.
Dude, you got to do it.
I need to do that.
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah. No, it's going to be special for sure. And yeah, they just, every year they do something that just elevates it. And I'm sure as someone who has direct ties to it, just makes you appreciate it even more. That it's, every year it's something new and it's improved, and, Mum is honored the way that you want it to be honored. So, I know this hasn't been easy, man. I really appreciate you wanting to do this.
So how it feels just wanting to be a representative.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Stories are always important.
Yeah. If there's anyone listening that, has similar family that was lost, or has a relationship with someone that has family that lost, or is anybody that's hurting that wants to reach out and chat and talk and just have somebody to listen to, or have somebody listen to them, how can they reach out?
To myself, or just
yeah.
I mean, email's probably the easiest.
Okay.
You can just type a message and you don't have to worry about talking to somebody initially. Yeah. But, I mean, that's one way to open the door and get conversation started. I mean, that's probably the most important thing. Okay.
If anybody wants that, let me know and I'll get that to them. I have email, so I can't. I have no words to understand what it is that you're going through and have been through, and what your family goes through every year when this time comes around. But I will be there every year to run. Every year. I don't care if it's a 5K or I'm doing my first marathon this year.
Have you been to the ceremony?
No, I will do that this year. I would love to be
what
there.
You need to do.
Yeah.
And for anybody that's listening that wants a piece of what Oklahoma City is, and you still feel the emotions.
Because it's always packed out, right?
It's typically packed out, but it's just, I think it's on a Sunday this year too, so you
that's good.
You don't have to worry about work and those type of things. Obviously church, but yeah, that is, it's open seating. You always watch it on TV too.
I have.
KFOR airs it, but when you're down there, and I've read names in the past. I've been part of the ceremony, and it's just it takes it to the next level in a way.
Yeah.
If you're a visual or an experienced type of person, but
no, I'll be there.
Should
love to. Well, I again really appreciate you, wanting to do this and just kind of, like I said, honoring Mum by doing this and spreading the word and just kind of speaking about it. It's powerful, and I definitely really appreciate it, and I know listeners will as well. So thanks again, mate. This is it's special for sure, and I know the people listening will they can draw something from this, like those 2 words, speak life. Like that's powerful.
Yeah.
Regardless of what age you are, who you're around, what ties you have, even if you're, anybody really. So, thanks for listening, guys, and we will catch you next episode. Cheers.
This podcast was presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, who've been telling Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com and definitely on Instagram at oklahomahof. Catch you next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.